to go.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Christina Speaks. I'm excited today. I've got Brian and Adela from Bachata Des Moines, but they also have Afro Dance. Is that what it's called? Your
Yeah.
new venture.
That's
So I'm
right.
excited to learn more about it and share that with everyone. So welcome, guys. Thank you for coming.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you
Thank you
for
for
having
having
us.
us.
Yes, you bet.
So tell me about this Afro Dance group. How did it start? Why did it start? How's it going?
Oh, it's going really well. So, funnily enough, as you know, we've been doing bachata for a while, for almost a decade now, teaching Latin
Wow.
dance, and
Congratulations.
Thank
right,
you. Thank
there
you.
you go. And so, a lot of people always wonder, like, a lot of people think I'm Dominican because I teach bachata, but I actually come
Not a
from
lot of
West
people.
Africa, and some people think I'm American.
Right.
So, so coming from West Africa, I've always had ties and roots to African music, African dance. I just never had a chance to share it. And the funny thing, and funny that you have this poster up here, but anybody did you watch the Black Panther movie?
I did.
That was the greatest movie. Oh, it's a great movie. So it really was a group of friends of mine and I, a little bit before the movie came out, we're looking at how could we improve the contribution of Africans, here in Des Moines. How can we, what we bring to the table? How could we, spread the awareness? Kind of like how, the Latino communities have, Latin music,
Festivals and
Latin
music
festivals,
nights and
the
bands.
food,
Yeah.
things like that. So we have things like we have our music, we've got food, we've got fashion, we've got stories, we've got amazing things, but nobody really knows. It's a very small. The narrative of the African is very, I should say, old school, very archaic, right? So basically, when that movie came out, I loved, like, if you watched all the way to the end credits, after you watch the movie and you see how, like, you see a bunch that Africa brings to the table. T'Challa shows up, and they have this United Nations thing, and he says, we're going to start sharing what we have with you guys. We're gonna share our resources. We're going to share what we've got. And then I don't know if it was a French guy or one of these European representatives was like, but what do you Africans have to bring to? I mean, what do you have to share with the rest of the world? And then they smile, and then that's the end. So, my friends and I, me personally, want to answer that question,
Okay.
right? We feel it's the time that asks the right question, and it's time to kind of share that. The other thing is we have kids, right? So our kids are growing up here. They have an African background, but they don't have anything. They don't, I guess, what they know of Africa is the little that they see on TV. So in a sense, they get labeled, kind of like you come from somewhere, but you're not really anything important, which is why I really love the movie. So when it all boils down to it, is I started up an organization. It's a nonprofit called One Voice, and it's a group of Africans from different parts, right? And we've come together, and we're trying to unify the we're trying to unify and speak for all the various African communities as one voice, and we're collectively connecting them to the resources. We're going to share African. We're going to share our African roots. We're going to share what we bring to the table. We're eventually going to have festivals and things like that. So that's our nonprofit. And so we've started doing a lot of extensive work this year. My contribution, since I'm in the dance realm, was to say, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring African dance to the table. And so I started the Afro DSM. It's an official component now. Because I figure Afro dance doesn't quite go with bachata, right? so
So it's its own thing.
So it's going to be its own thing. Right now, we're still leveraging Bachata Des Moines. We're sharing that as one of it, but it's going to be its own component. So is there anything you want to add to that, babe?
No, I mean.
Yeah. So I mean, basically, we're sharing the African dance, and then one thing that we've noticed is if you learn dance and you don't have an avenue to actually go out and practice or express yourself, then after a while it just kind of dies. So decided to actually go out and we had an opportunity to get a place downtown. So we've created this thing called the Politan XP, which is the Politan Experience. And we launched it last month. It was a great success. We have another experience coming on the 20th of December, and I can't wait to see how it is. And basically, we play African music, Afro beats, Afro house music. We actually at the start of we get someone to kind of share with the audience some African dance moves. So it's really cool to see a bunch of people learning African dance moves, and we want to use it as a way to kind of welcome the entire community, but to create a home for Africans here so they can relax, but then also to welcome people and get people to get an idea of what it's like to be in an African setting and realize that there's some stuff to learn as well, and that we're actually cool. You know what I mean? So that's it in a sense. That's where the dance came from. It's not new. This dance has been, if you look all over the world, especially in the French-speaking countries around the world, you'll see there's amazing dance moves. So,
all right. So, what different countries are these dances from?
Good question. So, there's all over Africa, and granted, Africa. A lot of people think Africa is one big country, but it's a bunch. Yes,
countries,
yes,
cultures and various flavors. In terms of their food and their language. I mean, even within one country, there's multiple languages.
Exactly. And just to give an idea, like in Nigeria alone, there's over 200 languages in one little country.
Right.
And it's very small, right on the coast, West Africa. But you'll see you tend to see within West Africa, you tend to see some commonalities, East Africa, South Africa, and then if you go north, and then so basically, as you travel to different regions, there are different flavors of expression. So that's actually wonderful. So I'm actually studying. I know I'm originally from West Africa, but I'm actually studying the various forms of African dance, and I'm connecting with dancers from Africa that are from different parts of Africa, so we can collaborate in order to kind of share what we have with the rest of the general public. So it's a work in progress, but I think it's going to be something that's amazing, something that's not been seen in Des Moines.
Well, and it's a growing population.
Mm-hmm.
I know I work at DMAC,
Mm-hmm.
and in the urban campus, I have met students from all different parts of Africa, and it seems like that population of students in that club at the college is like the most popular club.
Yeah.
And it's Africans and non-Africans, but
Sure.
that's definitely a growing population at urban, which is a good mix of kind of what's going on in Des Moines. So when you first moved to Des Moines versus now, how has the African community changed?
That's a very good question. So when I first moved to Des Moines, there were at Iowa State University, they always had like an African organization.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed like that was the only connection you had to any kind of African, food, African association. And it, other than that, it's just a disconnect. Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, I still feel to a certain degree it's still like that. In our study for my organization, One Voice, you'll see that a lot of the African communities are fragmented and don't have access to resources. So basically, if they had someone that was here, in a certain profession, they basically felt, okay, had an into that profession, that's about it.
Right.
But then, other doors are locked, basically. They didn't know how to navigate. And there, to a certain degree, it's almost like, well, the system is an unfamiliar system, and most Africans I know that come from Africa, I won't say that were raised here, but that come
Sure.
from Africa, almost have this feeling that, well, the system here is not meant for me or doesn't work in my favor. So, and this included me as well. And so, to a certain degree, I felt like, you know, I have to try to figure things out on my own. But when I look back, if I knew then what I knew now, I mean, life would have been so much easier.
Well, we can all say that, right?
Exactly. So what we're trying to do is really, you know, on two levels. You know, for one, with my passion for dance, I want to show the beauty of dance, and I want a multicultural group of people dancing to African music and African beats. I think it would be amazing to see. And we'd also like to showcase how beautiful that is to the general public. But on the other hand, we want to empower youth and the working class here. We want to give people opportunities to say, okay, listen, Africans are really smart. Africans are very industrious, and they believe me, Africans can make some things happen.
Sure, of course.
But a lot of times they're left with a very limited set of options. And if we can open that up and give them the resources they need, I believe we'd be able to not only increase our influence, but we'll be able to increase our contribution to the general public in a way that it's not just slightly heard, but it's actually felt. And that's what we really want to see. I would love to be able to go out and see a part of Des Moines that had a bit of a African influence. I'd like to be able to go out to some African restaurants and see, and have people in there eating and going, wow, this is delicious. You know what I mean? And most importantly, I want them to, I want to see some big events with African, it's a really rich. You seen that, like the Lion King. Mm-hmm. We could do more things like that, and let Africa get the credit for it.
So Adela, what is your role in this? Are you learning the African dances? How do you play into his vision?
African dances, not yet. We watch him at home. We're always there, to kind of like support him. I think mostly we want to make sure that our boys, and not just our boys, but any other kid, gets exposed to these dances and this culture. I'm from Mexico, and of course, he's from Africa.
Sure.
So we want to make sure that we give our kids both cultures, and we always encourage them to embrace their culture, to dance both type of dances. I mean, we're very open to. We play a lot of music at home. Doesn't matter what it is. We're always dancing. Yes, we're always fighting. Like, it's my turn. It's my turn. No, mom, you always play bachata. You always play. It's funny because I don't listen to a lot of Mexican music, but our oldest boy, he's 14. He loves Mexican music, so he's always like, it's my turn. It's my turn. But yeah, we're there. We're learning. I took a little class at his last event, so it was really nice. I really liked it, and a lot of people showed up, and they were so you can see they're like, wow, it's so much fun. So now my sister is like, I'm not watching your kid. I'm going to the event.
Oh, you lost a babysitter.
Yeah, so I don't have a babysitter, so if anybody wants to babysit.
Oh, maybe you need to make it an all ages event. Start bringing the kids.
I know. And we are very family oriented. So we normally, we'll say, hey, bring your kids. No, no problem. This one is pretty late, and it's at a bar, so no kids allowed. But no worries.
So tell me more about the event, the Afro Politan XP.
Mm-hmm.
So what can people expect?
So it's you can expect the goal of it is to give you a taste of being in an Afrocentric environment. So kind of like how the African comes into a club and tries to fit in, mm-hmm. right? We kind of want to create an experience that's very welcoming, but we want to give everyone a taste of what an African experience would be like. So listening to African music, there's Afro beats, Afro and Afro house, which are actually Afro house is actually one of the top listened to music in Europe, and Afro beats really inspires a lot of today's hip hop today. So it is we want to do that, but we want to leave people. We want people to leave with, whether it be a phrase one day, whether it be, you know, a dance the other, something where you can say, I got a taste of Africa and I went home and that was just awesome. Okay, so we might think of incorporating food. We might think we're looking at, you know, potentially identifying some, you know, African artists who are doing very well. A lot of times these African artists might be, depending on what the nature of their music is, they might be they might come across as African American, but you know, they're actually African, and you know, there's really a very they're close, right?
Sure.
So what we want to do is to showcase the African music, maybe comedy. We don't know where it's going to go, but we want to give a new experience each time. And we feel there's so much to offer that we're just going to take our time and try to make each one better. If that kind of answers your question a little bit.
So on December 20th, it's
Yeah.
going to be, where is it going to be? What time does it start? And that experience, is that going to be the music one? Is it going to be mostly music on December 20th?
Okay, so great question. So it's going to be on December 20th. Starts at 9 p.m. At the Nightingale.
I've never heard of that.
The
Where is
Nightingale
that?
Cocktail.
It used to be Lime Lounge.
It
Oh,
used to be
okay.
a
I didn't
Lime
know they
Lounge,
reopened
yes.
that. Okay,
They
gotcha.
reopened that.
It used to
Yeah.
be Lime Lounge, and so it's going to be over there.
Now, is that an African owner? Is that why you chose that location? Or
No.
No? Okay.
I mean, to be honest, we wanted to choose a location that was a decent size, not too big, not too small, but somewhere where it wasn't so big that, you know,
People get lost in the mix. yeah.
Exactly. Or not just that. I mean, if we're starting something, this is a totally new project. We didn't know if it was going to be successful. It was just a risk we had to take to see if the community would be open to,
Right.
you know,
What kind of reception you
yeah,
would
yeah,
get.
absolutely. And it did very well. So we just want to keep it up with it. I know that, you know, I think places got 100 capacity or something like that, but basically we are. It's a nicely. I really like the way it's freshly renovated, so it's got a really nice ambiance. I like the seating, really nice. The dance floor is right in the middle, so you can see it from all parts. So I think it's just perfect. So we're going to kick it off with a complimentary lesson where you get to come out and learn, you know, an African dance move. It's really cool.
So I might be able to learn there.
Yeah,
She
there you
might learn
go.
a
They
second-
love.
another one. And then after that, we'll open it up. We like to have like a halftime show. So there's right around just a little bit before midnight, we have a quick snippet, and that's where we kind of interject something special. I'm going to keep that as a mystery right now. Mystery! Be there.
What a tease! What a tease!
But if you want to stay updated on what's going on, if you go to Facebook, we've got a group page called Afro Politan XP. Go ahead and just join it. You'll get you'll be notified with everything, you know, building up to it. That'll be a great way to be connected. That's a great way to support our cause as well. So
Perfect. So Afropolitan XP on
Yes.
Facebook.
Yes.
People can get more information,
Absolutely.
announcements.
Mhm.
All right. So everybody go out there, like that page, learn more about it.
appreciate it.
Very cool. So you're from Nigeria. You're from Mexico. What part of Mexico is your family from?
Tamaulipas. So the Gulf of Mexico, right there.
So your kids are they multilingual? They're multicultural. How do you keep them interested in both sides? Do you travel there? Do you have family who comes in? When they get that question in school, what are you? Like, how do they handle
I love
those?
the fact
Yeah.
that you asked that question.
They always do. They
bet.
do. They speak Spanish. They have no choice. I mean, you know, they have to. They do. They speak Spanish. They are very they're very open to other cultures. You know, we really like we push them to learn, the Mexican culture, the Nigerian culture. Brian is to cook a little bit more for us. He's
So you make Nigerian food?
I'm trying.
He's trying.
Trying.
Back at home,
I cook a
did it.
lot.
Yeah.
I cook a lot. So a lot of our food is from Mexico.
Do you ever mix them, like a taco, but the filling is Nigerian or something?
We need.
We need you. You're
give me
giving
some
us good ideas. So I guess sometimes.
Well, because I want to be
make the
invited.
Nigerian-
That's the only
Okay,
reason I'm
next time.
asking.
We promise. I've made Nigerian food, so I guess that's kind of
Oh.
Mexigerian.
Mexigerian.
If you want to call it
Mexigerian.
Mexigerian.
Mexican.
Mexico has to be first.
Wow. So, reason I really like that question is, selfishly, the reason I'm so passionate about this is, I want to leave something for the kids, and I think one of the things I've noticed my kids don't have that I had. Coming from Nigeria, I was raised in a system that was for me, by me, but by people just like me, and I wasn't a minority. Mm-hmm. Okay, I was, and from a really respected family. You could call it royalty if you want to call it. It really is, to a certain degree. I have coming over here. I had that feeling of I knew why I was coming to this country. This country is the land of the free. The basically dreams happen here, right? So I came here for a dream, and I felt I really had the confidence that no matter what, I just need to get here, and I would make it happen. So I had that. You could call it chip on the shoulder. I mean, I had that confidence that once I get here, I will make it happen. There's no question about it. And I really felt I couldn't fail, right? And there's nobody that could stop me. That feeling kind of goes away after you stay here for a little bit, when you start, seeing how that is. But the thing I notice is when our kids grow up here, the labeling they're not as bulletproof to the labeling. Like, people would call me whatever they want to call me. They could say they could call me the N-word, they could call me whatever they want to call me, and it doesn't really affect me. Because I'm just like, whatever you want to call me, I know where I'm from.
Because you don't self-identify with that. Exactly. You didn't grow up with that being used against you.
Exactly. And so, and the other thing is, I had to learn. Like, I know when I was back in college, I butted heads with a few of my African American friends because they had a real emotion they had like an emotional response to oppression, right? They had this there's passed down from maybe grandfather,
right? And
I think sometimes I came across as not empathetic. Like, I didn't know what that felt like.
Right,
so,
that wasn't your experience.
Exactly.
It wasn't passed down to you. It wasn't your history.
Exactly. So when I would say I wanted to be this and I would remove all limitations, they would go, "Are you kidding me? Dude, you can't do that." And I'm like, "Watch me." And, and I think that was the reason. And it's the same thing. Like, when I started learning bachata, I started trying to teach bachata, people were like, you don't speak Spanish. You're not from Latino. I mean, what are you trying to do? I'm like, I love it, and I'm going to share it with everybody. And when I look back, those could have been, those could have stopped me, but I didn't. I didn't let it stop me. So when we see our kids, what I make it a note to tell them, you guys are exotic, and people are not going to know what you are. Your mom is from Mexico, your dad is from Nigeria. You got more flavor than most people, and I say it because I have to make them feel great, and I also feel that I'm empowering them for whatever labeling. Because when that happens, when people say stuff to them, they're either going to have something to reference, some comeback or something to go back to, or they're going to be, it's going to sway them.
Right, it can tear them down.
And
absolutely.
And so we have to build them up, because they're in an environment where the African aspect of who they are is very, you know, the narrative of that needs to be developed. I mean, depending on who's talking, you know, when you talk about, you know, Latinas, I mean, some people will say, you know, all sorts of things. I mean,
yeah, especially
you know
in
what I'm
this
saying?
climate.
Especially,
In this time,
especially
yes.
this time, you know, and the leadership and things like that. But the thing is, you know, you can't control the hate, you can't control what's said, but you can try to bulletproof them. So if anything, I'm doing this to bulletproof my kids and give them something to be proud of, right? So they can be proud of both aspects of their culture, where they come from, and then contribute. So now in the future, they have something that, you know, they can take over and even make better. So that's for me. That's what I'm passionate about.
So so they are the children of immigrants. So you're trying
Mm-hmm.
to give them the tools I mean, I don't know if this is the right way to say it, but kind of to fight back from the labels that get put on the kids of immigrants, especially when they are what I call ambiguously brown, which is what I've been, you know, a lot of my life. People will look at me. They also have thought I'm Dominican, or they'll think I'm black and white, or they'll just come on and be like, what are you? You have a Spanish last name, but you don't have an accent. I've been told that. Your English is really good for a Latina. You know, I've heard those things. And so I get it. People constantly wondering, they want to know what you are so they can put you in that box of what to expect from you. And that's what you're trying to combat with this, to give them both sides of their culture to be proud of. And that's awesome.
That's right.
That's very cool. So being with how are your, if you don't mind sharing, and of course you can say no thank you, but I'd love to know your immigration stories, how you got to Des Moines, and then how you guys met each other coming from such very different places.
Ladies first.
Oh, he's going to pass the torch on this one, huh?
That's because whatever he's going to say after me, it's a total lie.
All right, so everybody tune in right now and listen to Adela tell the story.
Okay, so I came here and I was about to turn 16, so I think I'm not gonna tell you the year because then you're gonna know how old I am. I was a student exchange to Urbandale. So I did a student exchange program, and then I stayed here. And my sister was going to college, so I kind of just followed her footsteps. And, you know, the rest is just kind of stay here, went to school.
Did you go to the state? Did you also go to Iowa State? Because I know
No, he's actually, you know, people would not know this, but he is actually almost 10 years older than me. I was waiting to say that for a long time.
And now it's recorded in history forever.
Forever and ever. So yes. He's a lot older, so.
Jesus.
She's a hater, man. She's such a hater.
I had to say that.
See, I'm not going to jump in because I went to school at the same time he did.
Okay, don't say anything.
I met him at Iowa State for the first time. So now that you've called us both old, you can continue with your story.
I'll continue. Okay, so yes, I was a student exchange from, to Urbandale High School. I came to visit my sister, and basically I met somebody. I met a student. I actually met a teacher from Urbandale, and she was a Spanish teacher, and she's like, hey, I would like to have you, over, just, let's see how you like it. So I talked to my parents and begged, and my dad said, okay, fine, you can go, your sister is there. So I, came, and I loved it. I learned English and kind of just stayed, got married, had a kid. Don, he is 14. He is our 14-year-old, and he actually speaks 3 languages. He speaks Mandarin, Spanish, and of course English.
Very cool.
So he is very cool. He's a very cool kid. Then I met Brian. When was it? 2009. 2009. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to stalk me like all the time. Oh man, this boy. But when I met him, I thought he was Latino too. So I was like, I came and I was like, hola, ¿cómo estás? Y él estaba así like, ¿qué? Yo no hablo español.
That was a good accent.
Yes, yo no hablo español. I was like, oh man, where are you from?
Wow.
And the rest is history. He never left. No matter what I said.
He's still stalking you.
Yes, no matter what I said, he was there. He was there. And I remember I had a roommate, and we used to be like, huh, does this guy have a house? Like, where is he from? He never leaves. And still here, you know, Latinas. Right?
Latinas, huh?
So that's basically what happened.
From your reactions as she was talking, I take it you have more to add to the story. Your perspective is a little different.
You're pretty good.
You old bastard.
Yeah. I've always been a guy.
He's gonna lie.
I've always been a guy who, you know, when I put my mind on a mission.
And Adela was your mission?
And
Apparently.
so this is what really happened. What really happened
Tan, 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 tan.
was, you know, she had reached out to me to get into a dance class of mine, and apparently I did not even get. I didn't respond. That's
I
how
actually responded
all
to
over
my
the
own
place I was.
email after I met him, and I started managing his Bachata Des Moines page. Then I went through all his messages to like respond. That was my email on, you know, plus like another like 95 emails there. And I was like, oh, that's why you didn't respond. It's not just me. It was like nobody, like no
That was
one.
his business model.
I was
to
playing
ignore
hard to get.
with her and 95 other people.
Yeah, her,
Oh,
95,
wow.
yeah, me and 95 other
Cut
people.
out that last part. So, hey, I was raw. I was just passionate, doing this thing as a hobby, and you came in and you organized my life. You see what I mean?
That's
So-
very true.
So she did. So let's go back to the fun part of the story, which is the remix, the real, what really happened. So, it was funny because I met her for the first time at a, it was at a, I don't know if you'd ever been to Margaritas, but it was a club. It's not there anymore,
Back in the day.
but a really nice spot. However, I think it was like a week or two prior to that, I ran into her at Incredible Pizza, which is not there anymore. And she was like, you know, it's like, you know those movies where it's like, she looks at you, you look at her, you turn around, you look back, and she's still looking at you, and it's just awesome. Anyway, but
Definitely not.
it was one of
Never
those.
happened.
She was looking at me, and she was captivated by me the entire time.
Couldn't look
And
away.
it was awesome. So I think the aggressiveness of her gaze kind of lingered, right? So when I went to Margaritas I think it was a couple weeks after, I saw her and I was like, that's her.
So now she was stalking you, is what you're saying.
So yeah, she started she was really stalking me. That's really what it was. So
You would like to
so
believe that.
she what is it they call it? She planted that seed with her eyeballs, right?
Oh, wow.
Because I plant seeds with my
I
eyeballs.
took her, so I asked her to dance, and it was one of those high school moments where like she had her friends there, and you know they were like really giggling like when I asked her to dance. I'm like, oh my god, I don't know. I'm very metiche. I wanted to know what they were talking about, but I couldn't get it. So anyway, I took her to the dance floor. I think we danced for basically we danced the rest of the night, and it was really great. And at that point, I was determined to carry on. And so, let's just say, I'm not gonna put all the details in there, but let's just say, once I left there, I made sure to see her every single day. My strategy was, she's got to get used to me being in her life, to where she can never feel comfortable when I'm not there.
Wow.
That's the strategy. So guys, if you're watching,
Please don't
see
do
the
that.
truth, man. It's not.
You can't
she
get
calls it
arrested.
stalking, but
You
really
can get
don't.
arrested.
You can totally get arrested.
You got some of you guys know what I'm talking about.
But yes, he literally like
It was
went
fun.
to my house and
Yeah.
we had I think we had an after party and it was like, okay, we're just here every day, like knock knock. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I'm not
It's
going
like,
to work. Come
God.
back.
Yes.
Come back. Well,
And
you
then
see,
he
but she
started
also
like
had-
he started
she
leaving
cooked so
like
good. Man, I was like,
she cooks so good.
she was
He
like, babe,
started
she was
like
well, she didn't say babe, but it was more like, I made some dinner. If you, of
Of
course.
course, I am
course.
Latina. You are Latina. You know that when
do
someone
it.
comes to your house, you always have to be like, "Hey, do you want something to drink? Are you hungry?" No, I'm not hungry, but you're eating anyways. You know, because we're Latinas over here. So, you know, so of course, you know, he'll come over and be like, "Okay, we're having dinner, so you know, come over and have dinner. You're already here, whatever." So it was always like that, you know, and we're like, okay, this guy, you know, every day he comes and knocks on the door like, hi, how are you? I'm like, you know, we have phones. You can call me. You can say hello, how are you over the phone. He will always show up.
Yeah.
And he never left. And now we have 2 beautiful kids,
See,
3 beautiful kids, 3 dogs.
she doesn't know how to live without me.
Wow.
I'm telling you.
There you
It's
go.
it's a strategy. It's good.
Now, is that a strategy for everyone or just smooth guys who can dance? Because there might be some viewers and some people recording
Okay, you see,
who might
sometimes
want to know
there,
what their chances are of being that smooth.
you know, I'll tell you this.
I'm smooth as hell.
Is that what you did?
This is awesome. I'm telling you. The thing is, it could be mildly irritating. It could be, it could be mildly
Mildly
irritating. It could be,
Borderline illegal.
It could be-
but
Yes.
okay, we
You
didn't do anything illegal.
almost got arrested.
It could be uncomfortable, inconvenient, or whatever the case may be. But the way I look at it is, when you're with each other, you got to get through that anyway, right? I mean, sometimes it's inconvenient, sometimes it's uncomfortable, sometimes it's annoying, sometimes it's like, right? We all do that, even with our kids, whatever. But the thing is, once you get to that point where, and I'm not even sure how serious I am about it, but I think there's a seed of truth, because it really resonates with me, is if you learn how to live with each other unconditionally, to where you can see all aspects of each other, and you share. I think life is all about memories, right? And if the best memories and the worst memories are shared with someone in your life, then that person becomes a significant part of your life. Mm-hmm. And you can't live without it.
And how did your families are your families both in Nigeria and Mexico? Are any of them here?
I have a sister here.
Your sister.
But everyone else. I mean, I have some family in Texas and Florida, you know, just kind of around. But most of my family is in Mexico.
So how do your families kind of blend cultures? Have they met?
They have.
Yes.
How did that go?
Well, I mean, let me share. So I have
can we cut that part, please?
I have a brother that's here, and he's got his family, but he moved over to Iowa City. My dad passed away, God rest his soul, and my mom is in London, and oof, man, this is a tough one. So our parents met, and our parents did very well. There was a little bit of drama.
Let's just leave that out.
There's
always drama when there's
a little bit of drama, not so much with the parents.
So our parents met.
Yeah.
We had a baptism for our middle child, Kai. So our parents met. Actually, our siblings met. Our parents met. We had some family from Mexico came over. So we did that.
And that was here in Des Moines where they
That
met?
was here in Des Moines. Yeah. And normally my parents come like once or twice a year, and then we try to get to Mexico, once a year. So we're thinking that 2020 is the year of it's the Nigerian
We're all gonna go to
year.
Nigeria, man.
So thinking that we're
So you
gonna
have a
take a
lot.
trip.
So you said your mom is in London, but you have a lot of family still in Nigeria.
I have a lot of
and-
family still in Nigeria. I got some family in families spread all over in terms of next generation. Some of them went to school and are kind of there, but majority of everybody still comes back home.
Oh, okay. So Nigeria is kind of the home
Nigeria is
base.
kind of
The home
the home
base.
base, yeah.
Got it. Very cool.
Yeah.
And what language would your kids speak there? Are you preparing them now or do they speak English? Majority of people speak English in Nigeria. What will that be like for your kids?
Great question. I can tell you what I would like it to be like. It's not quite there. Well, on a serious note, so I speak a native tongue that we speak in Nigeria is Yoruba. That's the traditional language. The official language, because we're colonized by the British, is Queen's English. So in other words, English
Right.
with more of a British accent to it, and the spelling is a little different as well. So basically what happens is my dad, when I grew up, my dad wanted me to really have a good command of English. My mom did too. So they basically spoke English to me. And so I learned how to understand Yoruba, which is the language, but not speak it. So unfortunately, so now I have this app that and a few YouTube videos that I try to follow along with Kai, my 7-year-old. We try to speak it together. So he's actually got some good greetings down, and he understands a few things. But there's still some work to do in that department. Adela, on the other hand, she does a great job with speaking the Spanish at home with the kids, and because her parents are very they come over often enough, and they don't speak any English, so it kind of forces the kids to learn. So
Well,
I'm
as
hoping
you
that,
said, there's not as many opportunities for them to practice if they
Yes.
did speak
Yeah.
Yoruba. Is that how you say it?
Yoruba, yeah.
Yoruba.
Whereas with Spanish, there are a lot more
Exactly.
opportunities for them to even see it in practice,
Exactly.
to go to la tiendas and restaurants and things and feel some
Exactly.
pride in
Yeah.
knowing the
Yeah.
language. And that's what you're bringing with One Voice for them to
Exactly.
have more of those experiences.
Yes.
So do you ever, are there communities like nearby, Kansas City, Minneapolis, or anything like that where you go to maybe get ideas for One Voice and then take the kids so that they can have more exposure?
I haven't started researching specific cities, kind of trying to get models or benchmarks, if you want to call it that. But I know you guys went to when we went to Chicago. I know there's a big Somali population in Minneapolis or that area. I mean, depending on where they come from and how the migration happens, you depending on where you're at, you might find a higher concentration of some part of Africa in a specific region here. And I think it's just a matter of looking at, I think that's a good idea is look and see what's working in some of these, established areas that have some sort of African presence, right? And see if we can duplicate it here. That's a great idea, but I haven't started at the moment. Yeah.
Very cool.
That's a good idea. Note to
Yeah,
self.
you
Note
should
to
have
self,
should have
yeah.
brought your notebook.
There you
Note to
go.
self.
Been giving you all kind of good ideas.
Okay, yeah.
Good idea.
She's gonna start charging you.
Oh yeah, my invoice is coming.
I know.
You say you live in West Des Moines. I'll
Yes.
get your address. I'll find you
That's
guys.
awesome.
Well, no. Well, I've had a lot of fun learning about what you're doing with One Voice and then your perspective as multicultural parents and raising kids into different cultures. That's been interesting. I mean, you're raising true American kids. Talking, that parents come from different places. You come here to make a life, and your kids, have this American culture, but then they're learning their Mexican culture and their Nigerian culture. Like that's really what this country is supposed to be made of.
Yeah, absolutely.
This administration seems to forget that, but the truth of the matter is that you
Yes.
guys are raising, true American kids. So that's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I like to kind of get to know a little bit more about guests um, and their take on Des Moines. So I'm curious, what are your 5 favorite things about living in Des Moines, or even if you wanted to, do that through your kids, what their favorite things about Des Moines is. You can share that as well if it makes it easier.
So for me, I would say I lived in many places, and it always seems I come back to Des Moines. I think it's a great place to raise kids, and we are very family oriented. So I really like it. The community here, it's really welcoming. So I really like it, and I call it home. I mean, I know, I was raised and I was born and raised in Mexico, but I do feel that this is my home. I always gravitate towards Des Moines.
Yeah.
What do you think?
That's a good one. I definitely agree with that one, for sure. Great place for kids, family.
Mm-hmm.
Safe, man. At least relatively safe, right?
Lots of opportunities.
Yes. I think people are, it's funny. Des Moines might not come across as, I mean, when you just look at it, you get the perception that maybe when you look at the diversity landscape, maybe people aren't very open, but they really are. I think people are open to learn. People are open to, that they're open to share new ideas and give people a chance if people are willing to step out and, just share and just share what they want to make happen. So I think that's the reason why we're top for, startups and things like that. I mean, I think that, small business is great here because people are willing to really help people out. So that's why I think we should give people access as well. What else? But that's what, 2, 3? I don't know.
I think like a lot of opportunities. So like when it comes to jobs, and you can really find a good job. And sometimes when I talk to other people and they live like in California, or I live in Florida, and I know what it costs to live over there.
Mm-hmm.
Over here you can have a better quality of life with a lot less money. So
Right.
you really can achieve a lot of things when when it comes to your work and the kids and homes and things like that. So I really like it. I love Des Moines.
Okay. I'll say I like its central location and the fact that you can't get too distracted here. So we love to travel, so I like being here where it's okay. You don't get in too much trouble. There's not too many distractions, right? You can focus on your work. You can focus on your family and not feel like you're missing out too much. But then you can literally say, okay, I want to travel here to have a little bit of that experience. Travel there, stuff like that.
Yeah, right in the middle of a lot of
That's
things.
A lot of
what I
things,
like
yeah.
about it, yeah.
Yeah. Well, very cool. Do you have a favorite place that you like to travel together?
Anywhere with a beach.
Yes.
I'm with you there.
Yes. We really do. We really we love the beach. I think our next destination will be somewhere in Mexico. And then, of course, we have that plan on 2020 is like Nigeria.
Yeah. We were actually going to go to, was it Escaret? Was that?
Yeah, we were going to Escaret. Yes.
We were going to go to that resort. All inclusive was fantastic, but then.
And then we were like,
Sorry.
we tried it for such a long time and never, it was not happening. So we're like, oh, okay, it's never gonna happen. So we forgot about it, and then boom.
Oh yeah.
We went to Vegas and came back pregnant.
Oh,
so
what
happened in Vegas doesn't stay in Vegas all the time.
No, you bring it home with you, and it gets born in Des Moines.
Yes. So and we we couldn't go. There was a whole Zika going on at that point.
Oh yes,
and so they advised us not to go. So we had we had to wait. So hopefully this year we get to go.
Mm-hmm.
This coming year.
Very cool. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on the show and sharing
you for
about
having
all
us.
of your ventures. I wish you a lot of luck
Thank
with
you.
Afro Politan XP coming
Thank
up
you.
December
Thank
20th.
Yes.
Is there anything else going on with Bachata Des Moines or One Nation or One Voice? I'm sorry.
One Voice.
One Voice.
that you'd
Bachata
like
Des
to
Moines, we
share?
have classes coming up. Well, we're starting in January. And then you'll be having...
And where does Bachata Des Moines have classes? Is it still in West Des Moines?
yeah.
Yes.
Dance Across
Dance
in
Across
West Des Moines.
Studio. So
Correct.
basically, starting January, I think it's 7th. So on Tuesdays, every Tuesday, from 6:15 to 7, we have the Afro Dance Kids. And as of right now, we're going from 5 to 12. 12 years of age at this point for that particular class. We haven't set up anything for anything after, but if you are interested, reach out, let us know. We'll make it happen. And then we have a bachata program on that same Tuesdays as well from 7 to 8.
All right. So, and where can
Same
they
location.
sign up for these dance classes, either for their kids or themselves or both? Where can they sign up?
If they go to our Facebook page, you go to our Facebook page, you'll see the events posted in there. Just go to Bachata. You can either look up Bachata Des Moines, all spelled out, or Bachata DSM.
Yes, sir.
That will take you there, and just join, and you'll get notified with everything. You'll have access to all the classes, the events as they get posted out, and you can see what's happening with us.
Awesome, and it's a good workout, and so people who have that
Absolutely.
as their New Year's resolution to get a little bit more active, you
More
can do so and
active,
learn
yes.
beautiful dances while you're doing it. Take your kids, have them do the Afro dance class, and then they can watch you do your little bachata when they're done.
Yeah. They can bring their kids. They can, if they want to connect with their partner, they can come together. So we have that, and we also have quinceañeras. So if anybody has a quinceañera coming up, then they can reach out to us. We do, the choreography. We do the vows.
Yes.
We do weddings. Any type of party. And we're available for that as well.
Yeah, and we're going to start promoting that. Really, we haven't done such a good job of doing that in the past, but that's something that we do very well. We get good results with the quinceañeras and weddings. So as you know, we do very well with kids, and it can be very tough to get damas and chambelanes and getting all these guys, in order and keeping them organized. But that's something that we do very well, and we're very creative, So they can bring a mix of. We're not afraid to get a mix of different genres of dance, putting them together for a sorpresa. And the waltz, we could keep it really nice, sweet, traditional. I mean, really, really clean and beautiful, and giving you that magical effect that everybody wants to, is looking for. And we give a unique experience to everyone that we create, choreography for. So if you want it to be memorable, in fact, Adela actually helps with a little bit of the planning, in terms of, the sequence of when everything happens within the quinceañera. So, and she speaks Spanish. So, she keeps the DJs
He uses me.
alive
He
too,
uses
so,
me.
So yeah. So it's a great experience. I love it. It's just something that I think that is great. I think dance is therapeutic in our relationship. Sometimes, worst case scenarios, we don't want to talk to each other. And the only way we can communicate is through our bodies with dance. And so you get out, whatever frustration you might have, or whatever it might be, whatever you left before you got on the dance floor starts to fade away a little bit, and you kind of bring the chemistry back. You kind of loosen up some of that tension, and it's just magical because, man, when you get back out of it, then you're in a place where you can now kind of revisit the problem or whatever you might have from a more more relaxed state. So yeah, dancing has a lot of. It's an amazing. It's a must.
So if people are interested, they can find you at Bachata DSM or Bachata Des Moines, both on Facebook.
Both on Facebook. Yes, and then we are going to have we're in the process of getting a website and some other things set up in place and create a little bit of a system that kind of puts things together, simplifies the process, automate.
Sure.
But we'll let everyone know through Facebook.
Through Facebook. Correct.
All right. Well, thank you again so much for spending your evening with me. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Christina Speaks, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mwah.